Hello, we are here this morning to have a conversation with singer and composer Scott Henderson about his recently created piece entitled Ordinary Prayers. As I understand it, you were asked to compose this work as a complement to Mozart's Coronation Mass. Can you tell us a little bit about how that was for you?
Nothing like being up against Mozart. On the other hand, it opened up a range of imaginative ideas that I might not have had otherwise, and thinking about the form of a mass and the meditative and celebratory nature of a mass, and all the qualities of it being a public declaration of prayer, really got me thinking about finding a way to express something that could complement that. Back in the 1970s, I met a poet named Jill Bigler, and she gave me a hand-typed piece of typing paper with a set of 7 poems on them. They were titled Prayers of Ordinary People, and at the time I read them, I knew that I wanted to do something with them. I tried to not only organize them musically in the way that a mass might, but I wrote an introductory portion, which Jill Bigler did not. She launched right into the poems. I wrote an introductory part which I think corresponds to the Kyrie eleison, which opens most mass settings. Musically, I wanted that sense of rising from the earth. So all the musical motifs rise. I open the piece with this. I close with a very similar piece of music, but instead of these entreaties to God, I've used just the substitution of Amen. Mm-hmm. And Amen is a very odd word that we assume means that's the end, but that's the literal translation of Amen is I accept this. And it's, in other words, here's what I need, God. Whatever you say, whatever you do, however you respond, I accept that. So that's why the closing is called Ascent. So the opening is entreaty and the closing is Ascent. And in between are these individual prayers. So the first poem is called How Tired I Am. And just to give you a sense of it, is, oh dear Lord, how tired I am of people. People everywhere I go, talking, pleading, pressing, needing. There's no escape. The next poem is called Alone, and the contrast is very sharp. It's alone, alone, alone in my loneliness. I am the only person who inhabits my world.
They're very contrasting.
They're very
How
contrasting.
do they contrast musically?
Well, musically, it's from a composer's point of view, it's exactly what you'd expect. The first one is kind of frantic. So all this is coming at them, right? Whereas Alone, I chose something very different. So it's much more meditative. The third one is the middle movement of the piece, and it's a lullaby. This movement is the only one that has a vocal solo in it. I wrote it for Sherry Kahn, a brilliant soprano, with the choir being sort of the vocal bedding, so to speak. one more.
One more.
One more, and this one, if there's a musical joke in the piece, this is it. It's called "Slow Down the World," and if any of us have not felt that at some point, where did the time go? Is it summer again? To me, these words had just that little gospel feel. So there's a little, or maybe a little soft shoe. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it closes with that, which is give me more time.
Yeah. And that brings us around to the Amen.
The Amen, which again is I accept your decision. I accept. I agree. Sort of that's the way it is.